I'm Callan for 74XX, and on May 31st and June 1st of 2025, I attended the 3rd annual Ontario PinFest, Ontario's only arcade and pinball show, and it was a blast. Let's check it out. Since last year, the show has been held at the fairgrounds in Stayner, Ontario, about an hour's drive north of Toronto. Last year, at the second show, I hosted a seminar where I re-repaired a bomb jack PCB, essentially doing a live version of one of my videos. This year, I decided to bring all of my JAMA adapters and my test rig and offer to help people identify unknown boards and, if possible, test them. I also brought my Tempest machine to sell. I had brought my Tempest the year before, but it didn't sell, although it got lots of play, so I thought at a minimum it would get a good workout again. PinFest, as you can imagine from the name, is really pinball focused, but they happily encourage the video game guys to come out and bring their machines as well. There's a pinball tournament each of the 2 days, a food bank collection, prizes given out for things like best pinball and best video game, and a food truck outside. Here's my booth. Just a couple things for sale, mostly working boards down here, a few scrap ones, a few products here. Data East, Simpson's cooling towers, LED gauges, and CPU 7 pin for burger time. Check the video description for links to these items if you're interested in learning more about them. Now, the main event of PinFest is over 100 pinball machines, all on free play, spanning the complete history of the hobby, from ancient Bagatelles to Stern's King Kong that just came out a few months ago. In line to get our vendor wristbands. Raph, what are you feeling so far?
I'm feeling good. There's lots of stuff here.
Yeah, we just saw a custom Simpson's Who Shot Mr. Burns machine, so I'm pretty excited for what we're going to see. For the arcade machines, collectors brought a fantastic selection of rarities and classics. We have a Mappy with the massive foldback marquee, a lovely Tempest, not mine by the way, Paperboy running the PCB I repaired in a recent video, a Williams multi-game with Joust, Robotron, Defender, and more, and 3 cabarets, Asteroids, Galaga, and Rally X. Sadly, my Tempest arrived with a bit of a problem. Half the screen had collapsed, a common problem plaguing Wells Gardner 6100 vector monitors, generally attributed to a bad transistor that's mounted to the monitor frame. Another collector offered to bring me a spare transistor for day 2, so we were confident we'd get it going, and for today I just turned it off. The show is a fantastic place to find parts. I saw marquees, control panel overlays, coin mechs, lockdown bars, and even entire pinball playfields. Once we got set up and before the crowd came in, we tried our hand at a few games. Raph tried out this Target Alpha while I admired the sparks shooting out of the back of it. And I gave this Bespoke Rush machine a try. Back at my booth, I had a few customers. I tested a Mortal Kombat 2 board for somebody who was putting together a Mortal Kombat multi in his Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 cabinet. Good news for him, it was fully working. I also sold him a Mortal Kombat 1 board that I had for sale, getting him even closer to his goal. One gentleman came by with an unknown board that looked a lot like a Midway game, maybe Galaga, although there was no secondary video header. I pulled a ROM and checked it with my T48 programmer connected to my tiny Japanese laptop, and the board was identified as Rally X. In the end, I decided to buy this board and bring it home for repair. I also sold a set of Simpson's cooling towers to a gentleman who resides right in my town. Who knew there were 2 Simpsons pinball machines so close together, so far out of the city? The next day, we began working on the Tempest. We've got a repair station over here. Yeah.
They're putting it to work.
Here for WG 6100 monitor. And if you come around over here, you'll see behind here there's 4 transistors. And each one of these is responsible for deflection, like positive X or Y, or positive or negative X, sorry. So one of these transistors goes, and you lose that aspect of the screen. So if the top goes, it's 1 transistor. If left goes, it's 1 transistor. So it's definitely going to be this one or this one. So I'm going to check them out and see which one. One of the local guys here brought me replacements from home overnight, which is amazing. Let's see if we can get it back up. I pulled out the offending transistor and replaced it with a new one. Luckily, the transistors are sort of in a socket, so no soldering was required here. Okay, The other side. The issue has jumped to the other side. The only way this makes sense is if the other transistor just happened to fail at this exact moment, but oh well. We had another transistor, so let's put it in. This time, we got nothing at all, and I smelled smoke. We decided to call it quits on this one. Oh well, there was another fully working Tempest at the show anyway, and in better condition, so mine probably wasn't too likely to sell this time around. Soon, another opportunity came up to attempt a field repair. Some of us noticed that the Asteroids Cabaret had a problem with the shooting noise, delivering a flat tone instead of more of an explosive one. We checked the schematics and agreed it was likely to be the 555 timer.
Gonna bring me a Asteroids board, mostly working except the sound went down, so we found where the chip firing sound is on the board. Someone else found a chip they had a spare of, just a 555 timer. Unfortunately, none of us brought desoldering gear, so our plan is to just cut the chip and put a new one on top and resolder the legs just to get it back working today.
You have all the tools available, but I'll probably take this home with me if I need to.
So because I won't be able to clear the holes, I'm just gonna solder them to the old legs and not take them right out. This one can be yours. I'll blur out his phone number.
That's right.
Moment of truth. Nope. That wasn't it. So no change with the new 555. At this point, the owner of the machine pointed out that the saucer shot was also messed up. We backed out a bit on the schematic and noticed that there was a 4016 shared between the two sounds. I found a Space Invaders daughter board among my scrap that had a 4016 and attempted the same technique.
So I'm going to try and take out this 4016 from this Space Invaders daughter board that has a lot of problems and try the same thing to try and solder it onto this board.
Unfortunately, this wasn't successful and we lost both ship sounds completely. It's entirely possible the 4016 that I took off of the Space Invaders was already broken. I was already bringing home another Space Invaders board for the owner of this cabaret, so of course I agreed to take this one home as well and sort it out. Naturally, I had to figure this out as soon as I got home. After cleaning up my fieldwork, I put in a new 4016 which brought back the saucer shooting sound, but it ended up being a capacitor that was causing trouble for the ship shooter sound. All repaired and will be on the way back to the owner ASAP. Now let's check out some of the pinballs we got to play while we were at the show. First up, Avengers Infinity Quest Pro from Stern 2020, a very well-liked modern table. These modern ones are super fast compared to the older ones I usually play. Wheel of Fortune from Stern in 2007. This one really caught my eye with the colors on the table and the theme in general. You see the big wheel and you know you gotta see it spin. Love the bobblehead players too. Next is NBA Fast Break from Bally 1997, actually two of them side by side. This has a really cool feature of a little basketball shot game inside the back glass, which I unfortunately didn't get any footage of. The call-outs in the game really make it sound like a pinball version of NBA Jam. Cubert's Quest from Gottlieb 1983. This has a very wacky figure 8 layout and the strangest arrangement of flippers I've ever seen. The two bottom ones that are positioned vertically are reversed, so the left button activates the right flipper and vice versa. Elvis from Stern 2004. The dancing Elvis caught my eye on this one. Apparently the dancing is properly synced to the music, but unfortunately I couldn't hear this one at all with all the noise, but it was a fun game. This one also has a little rhythm game you get to play on the display. World Poker Tour from Stern in 2006. I used to play this at a local restaurant when it was new, so I had to give it a go. It's got a display in the middle showing you your poker hand and has a little mini table up top for an extra challenge. Now we get to one of my favorite things at the whole show. This is a custom table called the Simpsons Who Shot Mr. Burns. This is a completely scratch-built table by a local hobbyist who obviously shares my love of The Simpsons. The game's progression actually plays through several classic episodes, we were told, culminating in Who Shot Mr. Burns. We were warned that the reveal of the shooter at the end of the game is not Maggie. Spoiler warning. Next to that was the Nightmare Before Christmas. I saw this last year and I don't think I got a chance to play it, so I was determined to get in and give it a shot this year. This is a real accomplishment, and I have to say it feels very good and could easily sell as a complete game. The digital backglass is fantastic with scenes from the movie. Near the entrance there was an amazing collection of very old and very well preserved or restored pinball machines and earlier variations like Bagatelle. There's some countertop amusement games from the mid-30s and a Ski-Doo from the early 30s that all take pennies, and even some pin bagatelle games from the late 1800s, and some wood rail pinball machines like this 1947 Humpty Dumpty that has a lot of what you would say makes a modern pinball machine, and in fact introduced flippers to the world. While looking through a sea of manuals, I found Matt and Stacy from 8-Bit Beans, my home arcade in Whitby, Ontario. They told me they wanted to sell coffee and merch at the next PinFest, which would be a welcome addition to the show. In the end, I sold my Tempest, as is, to another vendor who's known for vector repair, so I'm happy that it's in good hands. I brought home a handful of boards, including an SNK Prisoner of War, the Rally X bootleg, and a Cruisin' USA board that I was told was probably working and just stripped of ROMs for use on other things. The Prisoner of War worked when I bought it at the show, but it's only given me a partial display at home, so it's going to be a good candidate for the next repair video. I had a fantastic time at the show, and I know I'll be first in line to return again next year. Big thanks to Dave Estelle from pinballrom.com, who conceived and co-runs the event, and to Raph for making the trip out with me, and finally to the local group of collectors who helped me out with parts, adapters, conversation, and of course left me with a big box of PCBs to fix for them. Stay tuned for the next video, which should be quite exciting. I noticed I surpassed a certain little milestone for the channel, and have been saving a story for just such an occasion. Until next time.